What's up NBA fans, Dom2K on the mic, and before I even get started with this video, I want to mention that the audio is definitely going to sound a bit different because there's a couple of different things going on. First of all, I am sick and congested. I have been that way since Thanksgiving break started, so yeah, I know that was a hell of a time to get sick. But on top of that, I have finally upgraded my mic. I've been recording for the last like 3 years on the Struggle headset basically. It's a gaming headset that I bought back in like 2012, and this is my first time on a, I guess you could say, professional type mic, so audio is going to sound a little bit different as I learn how to work with that, but just bear with me. But anyways, today, as you can tell from the title, I've decided to follow my NBA2K11 video up with another video for 2K talking about 5 elements I believe they can add into the game to make the perfect 2K game in the future. So as you're going to see, these features are basically going to be taken from some of my favorite basketball games that I've played throughout my childhood and even some that I've played really recently. With how far technology has come and how far graphics have come in video games, I think that if 2K were to get their hands on these elements and work that magic, these could be part of what could be the best 2K game of all time. And without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into what I think these elements would be. Number 5, add the features you took out. So I understand that when we spend $60 on a new game, and especially one that is a yearly release, we expect there to be fresh content. We expect the game not to feel exactly like it did the year before. But one thing I've noticed is that 2K just seems intent on removing features that the fan base loves with, no explanations, and then it kind of pops up in a game a few years later and they advertise it as a new feature. But my question is, how about just leaving those features in the game and you either build on them and make them better, or you just kind of leave them in the game and you add new features on top of that so 2K gets better every year and it doesn't take a step back and fans don't feel like something is missing. For instance, if you're one of the viewers that watched my NBA 2K11 video, I've mentioned a lot of features that are no longer in the game, such as 2K Reel Maker, the situations, the Summer League for My Career, the drills your My Career player could do, player DNA, celebrities, and my question is, why has this stuff just found its way out of the game over this amount of years when the fan base clearly liked this? I think this is something long term that 2K could work on, is kind of listening to the community and listening to feedback, so you don't just have these features randomly disappear and then pop up maybe 3 or 5 years later. Why not keep them in there and build on them? Because right now, what are we on, NBA 2K17? I don't think it's so far-fetched to say in NBA 2K20 maybe the Reel Maker pops back up and then that's something that they're advertising like it's new, but then it's like, no it's not, this was in 2K11, y'all just took it out. So I really think building on features could be a strong point for them, just like a lot of other games do. And obviously there's so many 2K games, so many features that could be added back into it that if I were to go through them all, this section would be 20 minutes long, so I think you get the point. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Number 4, creative presentation. In my opinion, something that makes games really memorable to us in our childhood is that we can look back at some of these games and we can pull out a single mode from our favorite video game and tell what we liked about it so much. And for me, that mode actually comes from NBA Live 2005, which is honestly my second favorite basketball game of all time, and it's for one of the reasons I'm about to tell you. By now, it's actually been over a decade since I opened NBA Live 05 on Christmas morning, and I still remember one of my favorite features of the game being that jersey store that they had. Now, Live 05 had a lot of things to love about it, but one of the coolest things was how they presented all the gear they had in the game. So I am gonna have a video of this because I still own the game, and there was a place where you could go and you could see all the Hall of Fame retro jerseys, the shoes, and all the gear in the game. And the challenge was, this was stuff that you could equip to the players, however you had to have a certain amount of points to unlock these things. Now, one of my favorite things about NBA 2K17 is the amount of apparel they have in the game. For You're My Player, there is a ton of hats, clothes, jerseys, shoes, there's so much stuff you can have. But wouldn't it be cool to have something creative like Live 05 where you walk into the store and the jerseys are hanging up and the shoes are on the wall? And that's just something really creative to me that stuck out because I wouldn't say it looked like a Foot Locker or anything, but the way it was presented, I still have the picture in my mind from over 10 years ago, and that's saying a lot. So just hear me out for a second. The year is 2016 and hardware is a lot more powerful than it was in the year 2005. So what if 2K was to look at a mode like NBA Live 05 had and make it for today, where it would actually make even more sense because now we have the My Career mode. So the My Player, I think a lot of people have been asking for something like this where you can walk around, and obviously they can't build us a game like The Sims on, when they have everything else to handle. But if you have a store like that where you can walk into, I think it's something really memorable, and it just goes into that creative presentation that I'm talking about that makes a game stick out a decade later. There's obviously numerous ways to do this. I'm just throwing this suggestion out because if I can still remember something vividly from 2005, I really think that it would be something cool to kind of bring back and do even better. Number 3, NBA 2K7 Cribs. So check this out, because I think this is pretty crazy and I've never been able to rationalize it. So we're now 7 years removed, or at least 7 2Ks removed, from when my career first made its introduction in NBA 2K10, and the one thing I can't figure out is how have we never got a crib mode like you had in NBA 2K7. Now I realize this is when NBA Live was still pretty much dominating, and actually this is when the turn actually happened. This is when 2K very first started to take over. And 2K7 had a mode called Cribs, and this was before the existence of My Player. You could go in and the crib would be decorated from what you said your favorite team was, but it was set up really nice. There was a nice view outside of your window, there was like a dartboard in there, there was bobbleheads, there was TVs, there was even air hockey in there. And I always found myself thinking, okay, so now we have a My Player, but we still haven't had a house to go in yet. How has that happened? So you have these cutscenes where you see your house. I remember NBA 2K15 had cutscenes when you see it, but why don't we have an interactive crib yet, at least to the effect of NBA 2K7? Because I can't imagine that would be that hard to do. I'm not asking for Sims, I'm not asking to eat and drink water all the time, but in between games, shouldn't I have an actual crib to chill at? I think that would be really cool. I remember NBA 2K16, and I mean, they do have My Court now, to their credit. I know they have My Court in NBA 2K16, and I'm pretty sure 17 has it as well, and you can decorate it in. Yeah, that's cool and all, but I think if y'all took something like y'all had in NBA 2K7 and really modernized it with the technology we have now and the capabilities of these consoles, you could make something really cool, and I think people would spend even more time than they already do in my career. You'd be able to do things like invite friends to your house, kind of like they do in GTA, but a little bit different, you know. I'm pretty sure you can invite friends to your My Court right now, so why not to your crib as well? That's just something I could honestly rant about this for 10 minutes, but as you can see from the video, it makes no sense that we got My Player in NBA 2K10 and cribs never came back. This is something that has to come eventually, and it needs to stay when it does. Number 2, Legend Challenges. Now, I'm glad I got to stick this in this video because I spent a great deal of time talking about the Michael Jordan challenge in my NBA 2K11 video. However, I didn't even make mention that in NBA 2K12 there was also challenges pretty similar to that, except it was for legends of a different variety. So I'm pretty sure there was like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there, and you'll see it when I actually plaster the video on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is a mode that really needs to make a comeback in 2K, and honestly this goes back to number 5 or 4 when I said add features that you randomly took out. This needs to stay. NBA history, there is a lot of things that have happened in history. There is no reason that every 2K can't have some legend challenges for an assortment of different legends. I mean, now Kobe Bryant is retired. I know it's inevitable that we're eventually going to get one for him. You could do it for like Hakeem Olajuwon, which actually, you know, I think they did do that in 2K12. Anyways, you get the point. There's so many players you could do this for, and I actually think that's a pretty good reason to do it. So, you know, a lot of you don't know, but for me, my interest in legends and the history of basketball, it actually came once I started playing with them in NBA 2K12, as funny as that sounds. Now, of course, I watched a lot of NBA TV before that. I knew something about the history, but once I picked up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain in NBA 2K12 and the way they were presented, because if you remember playing that mode, the screen would actually be gray for, you know, to represent the time period that you were playing in, so that actually goes under creative presentation. And that was such a fun mode that it kind of sparked me to go look back at the history of the game and see what these guys were like, because it was such a fun thing for me to learn through the game. It was kind of learning through the game a little bit. I didn't know about some of those performances when I was a kid before I played them on 2K. And what is a better way to learn than through having fun? I don't really think there is a better way. 2K has a fan base ranging from little kids all the way to new fans and to seasoned fans, and I really think it would be a good thing to have these legend challenges in, because you never know what you're gonna spark there, and it's just a fun mode overall. I mean, hell, for seasoned fans, I know everyone wants to recreate a lot of the things Kobe did, and then for new fans who don't know a lot about, you know, the 90s or the 80s, you have some Larry Bird challenges there. You know, they look and see what he did in some of the playoffs, and now all of a sudden they want to go learn about it. So there's definitely more than one reason why this mode should be in every single 2K. This should never be taken out. Number 1, NBA Live All-Star Weekend. Man, I just got real excited when I wrote this one down because I spent countless hours on this mode by myself and with my friends, and I am still waiting for a video game to recreate All-Star Weekend the way NBA Live 2005 did it, because as far as I'm concerned, it just hasn't been done yet. NBA Live 2005 had a very authentic All-Star Weekend, from the way the court was, to the presentation, to the commentators, to the way you played the modes, and I really hate how in 2K there's always something that's really obstructing the All-Star Weekend, whether it's because they put it, they try to incorporate it into Blacktop, or it's only incorporated into the season modes or My Career, where you can only access it through simulating the season. There needs to be a standalone All-Star Weekend in the menu that we can play anytime we feel like it, just like it used to be. We can pick the dunkers just like in NBA Live 2005, so if I want to see LeBron James finally in a dunk contest, I can see that, and I could put him with Vince Carter, Dr. J, and Michael Jordan. I should be able to do that by now. But furthermore, I shouldn't be playing Guitar Hero with these dunks, because that just kills it. I have no clue what they were thinking when they designed that mode. However, it was way more fun in NBA Live 2005, where you had to learn certain button patterns to try to perform the dunk you wanted to perform. And of course, these dunks weren't anywhere near realistic, but I'm sure they could come up with something with modern technology to make this really fun. And hell, just being able to control your own dunks instead of playing Guitar Dunk Hero or whatever that's supposed to be, that would be an upgrade. To be honest, there isn't much more that needs to be said about this mode, because everybody who played NBA Live 2005, they know what I'm talking about. You guys can specifically remember being with your cousin or your best friend or whoever you were with when you were playing All-Star Weekend, the dunk contest, and a three-point shootout, and sometimes you could just do that instead of playing a competitive game, because it was that much fun to be able to do. Those dunk contests with you and your friend and then 2 other computers, depending on what mode you put it on, just so much fun, so many creative things you could do, and that is part of what makes NBA Live 05 still one of the best basketball games ever, is that they were able to really create something there. And even though the dunks weren't always all that realistic, it was still just so much damn fun. And 2K definitely, I don't know if it's like a if they don't have the rights to do that, I don't know what it is that they haven't done that yet, but they need to get on that. And that's pretty much what I've got for you guys today. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch of imagination that these 5 elements alone would make any 2K game perfect. However, they would go towards making a perfect 2K game. And from where I'm sitting, legend challenges, the 05 All-Star dunk contest, and the jersey store with NBA 2K7 cribs, and a lot of the features that 2K just randomly takes out for no reason, you've got a game that is at least on its way to becoming a perfect 2K game. And I think these elements could go a long way into pushing it in the right direction. And of course, just like in any other video, I want to hear you guys' input. What are some elements that you guys think could go into making a perfect 2K game, and do you agree with the list I have here? Because I know there's a lot. I didn't play any 2Ks before 2K7, so maybe I'm missing a bunch from those, and you guys can go ahead and bring that in the comment section. That would be awesome to hear. And a quick note about my last video. My last video was actually a mix. I do one of those like every few months. However, because of the copyrighted song, my policy says that it's not viewable on certain devices. It doesn't say anything about being blocked in a certain country though. So if you were one of those people commenting that you couldn't watch my video, I would go back and try to watch it on the computer instead of the mobile phone, and it shouldn't be restricted by a country, because I even had some people in the US saying they couldn't watch the video. So it should definitely work on a laptop or a standard PC. So go try that if that's affecting you. I'm sorry, but that's just the nature of some of these copyrighted content. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Dom2K. Hit like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.